Hello, this is Pamela, the Divorce Mystic. I'm an over 25-year intuitive divorce attorney, mediator, and coach who's integrated a spiritual practice into my business. And today we're starting with part 1 of a larger series, Chakras and Divorce. Specifically, we'll be starting with the Root Chakra. This series assumes that most are familiar with the 7 main chakras, which will be our focus. So starting with the Root Chakra. The Root Chakra is associated with the color red. Red is the slowest of all vibrations. It's associated with the earth. It's how we know we're human. It's our sense of survival, our will to survive. It creates our foundation. When it's healthy and balanced, we have our self-awareness is good, right? We're confident. We can do anything. We feel as though we're supported. There's no wobble in our walk. The earth feels secure underneath us. And we have a tremendous sense of imagination. And our dreams, our desires, and imagination come through that root chakra. That's where they manifest. So again, when they're balanced, it's good. Life is good. We feel good. We feel we're human. We know we're human. We know we can whip the world if challenges come. Let them come, because we can take on the challenges. That's why we're here. When our root chakra is not balanced, think of a house that's on a foundation of sand and turbulence comes. The house may fall down. The house will certainly be blown around. It may find stability, it may not, but if that foundation underneath that house is unstable, the rest of the house is in trouble. Same thing with our self. If our root chakra is off balance, that root chakra provides the anchor for the upper chakras to do what's necessary in our lives. So we need that stability. We need that grounding, that feeling that we are fully present and fully integrated into the earth and supported, so that when we manifest things and desire things and dream things and go on about our life using the upper chakras, that root becomes our seatbelt. So when that seatbelt is removed, or that foundation becomes shaky, it can make us experience delusions. It could make us feel greed when we're not a greedy person, but all of a sudden we feel greed or envy or jealousy. It could bring anxieties and certainly negativity, where we may be feeling pretty positive most of the time, but when our root chakra is not balanced, we wake up and live our day with a sense of negativity that we bring into the world, and then we're surprised when that comes back, boomerangs right back at us. So why is it important in divorce? Because there is an almost certainty that in a divorce situation, we are going to feel some sense of fear. We're going to feel sometimes, if it's not our idea, to facilitate a divorce, we feel abandoned in the world. Someone with a very imbalanced root chakra is just like that house. It could just crumble to the ground. It's almost like Humpty Dumpty, standing on the wall, and anything can just throw it down and shatter it. So it's important to understand that we can and we do come into situations or major life transitions such as divorce with the need to be stable, the need to have that anchor in place, and to know that it could be very little enticement to throw us off. Those things that naturally trigger are things such as learning that you may be spending less time with your children. There's a co-parent involved, and so therefore there's a co-parenting plan that must be in place, and that naturally means that your children will not be with you 100% of the time. That's enough to throw people completely into a tremendous amount of fear, a tremendous amount of that protection, that overprotection, that exaggeration, that somehow, if my children are not in my presence 100% of the time, they must be in danger. And it doesn't matter that in reality there's nothing that would in any way dictate that the other parent or one of the parents is not fit to be around the children. It's just when we're in that situation where our foundation is shaken, everything seems to be shaky and everything seems to bring fear. And that fear in divorce is exaggerated. Another thing that brings fear and triggers an anxiety attack or triggers the root chakra to certainly become imbalanced if it's not, is assets and income. So if, as an example, you're in a situation where, as most are in a divorce, that there's assets that must be distributed. Some people become very attached to an asset. It could be the family home, it could be a car, it could be, a financial account, whatever it may be. Some people become ingrained and very attached to that, to the sense that their identity is based in that attachment to that item, whatever that may be. And in some cases, we don't know as professionals where that attachment has come from or why it is so important, but some people dig their heels into a particular asset, and it just doesn't make any sense. But if they're balanced, they might be attached to that asset, but they're able to extend the lens to see the forest through the trees so that they can see other options in relation to that object or that asset, that house, that car, that whatever it is that is causing such a tremendous amount of instability at the thought of losing that asset or sharing that asset in some way. Income is another one. If you're the one who has earned the income, you may be triggered by the thought of, I have to continue to share my income with somebody who I'm not married to. This is a divorce situation. I'm not going to be with them, but yet I still have to share my income with them. That's not fair. And in some cases, it's a little annoyance. With somebody who's balanced, it's annoying. But they realize, okay, I'm going to have to come to terms with this. There will be support in this case. I'm going to have to share some of my income so that the other party, can have somewhat of a decent life and meet their at least their basic needs, their necessities. And eventually I'll get used to it, and it may change in the future. Somebody who's imbalanced can completely throw them off. They're going to be that person who's on this side of the road, on a bench somewhere in the rain, desperate without anything. Everything is exaggerated. So we have to pull them back and make sure that there is this fear a real fear. In some cases, it could be somebody that's from a very wealthy family. There's plenty of assets and plenty of income to go around. But the moment they are a little off balance and they are brought to the table with the idea that I'm going to have to share some of this or give away some of this, it's abnormal in terms of how they overreact sometimes. And that's why I say it's more critical that your energy body is aligned than your understanding of the law or the physical aspects of the divorce. Because if you are aligned emotionally and use the support, as we're in the root chakra right now, use that support of the root chakra to really ground you in to, what do I need going forward? Is this a legitimate fear, or is this an over-exaggeration? Am I somehow exaggerating what my needs are or not really seeing my need? What is this fear coming from, or agitation, whatever it is? How or what do I need to do to overcome this so that I can start making decisions out of clarity? It is a certainty that when we experience any life transition, we know that we're going to experience emotions that we may not have ever experienced before. We might deal with them differently than we would have done at another time in our life. But either way, it is up to us to understand that we are in control of how we deal with those emotions, and that we do have, the blessing is that we do have some control over our alignment with Source, our alignment with our guides, our alignment with our higher self, our ability to find clarity. all of the things, take or leave, pick or choose, any words that I use that don't resonate or do. But it's up to us. And as a professional who's been in the field of divorce for over 25 years in different capacities, some as a mediator, some as a divorce attorney, some as a coach and a mentor, and some as teaching other attorneys, right? That caused me to witness the havoc that one goes through, or a family goes through, when there is an imbalance, particularly in the root chakra. They all matter. They all focus on different things. But that main foundation will help you to understand when I say that your family is still a family, even in divorce. It just looks different. I tell people they're going to get tired of me saying that, but it's so true. So the way to keep the knowledge and the understanding in your heart that just because we're divorcing, if there are children involved, there is going to be a different look to the family. It's going to operate different, but it's still a family. It's still mom, it's still dad, still children. What is that? It's a nuclear family, just not engaged in the bonds of matrimony, right? They're just going forward in a co-parenting relationship and they're jointly raising their children. So it's critically important that the decisions that you make in your separation agreement are from a place of clarity, that a parenting plan and decisions made around co-parenting, how are you going to interact? How are you going to communicate? What is the family, the new family, going to look like? Because it's up to you to design it, and you can. In those cases where somebody is so off balance that their root is shattered, their foundation is shattered, they just cannot move forward. They're stuck. And the other one is pushing to go forward. Those cases do end up in litigation, or they end up with the party who is so broken and not allowed the time to really find her own alignment or his own alignment to make these decisions with clarity. It ends up in litigation, and it either is a judge that makes a decision, or they're forced to settle right before a trial. And making those kind of decisions right before a trial out of fear does not create enduring agreements, lasting agreements. It doesn't teach you how to co-parent, and it designs your future co-parenting relationship in terms of animosity and me against you attitude, rather than us coming together to design this family, what it's going to look like moving forward, and a unity in terms of what your children see. They find their stability in your stability. You are their anchors, right? So if you can keep the idea that foundation that's underneath you all, that family has to stay secure. Even though you are separating your lives, there's many things that you can do to keep that foundation stable and appropriate and satisfactory for your children to grow, and to not just grow and accept the divorce. There's no accepting of anything. For those clients or those people who can divorce with family in mind and this idea of balance and making decisions jointly and creating united fronts for their children, and getting others who are taking sides to stop taking sides, and to understand it's a family moving forward, just looking different. They glide through a divorce, and the children see that. They react to their parents' emotions. And if there's could be a little bit of, not talking, or there could be a little snip here or there, but those people who are going through a divorce from a balanced perspective, there's children glide through the divorce. There's no accepting of it. It just is, right? They just fall into what is. So that one house that becomes two houses, they just follow what is, because if it's good for the parents, the adults, they look to the adults for how to feel. So if more people understood that, there would be less damage to our sweet little children going through such a life transition. They won't think of it as a major life transition. They'll just think of it as part of the family. It's what we're doing. Okay, what's next? Let's do it. Oh, we're going to do 2 bedrooms. Wow, I get 2 bedrooms instead of 1. You can make it. It's hard, but you can make it to where your children are just following your lead. So to do that, you have to be balanced. So again, the emotional body is not something that people pay attention to, or the energy body is not something people pay attention to when they're divorcing. You do that. Be sure that you check yourself. How do you know? The best way to make sure that you're aligned and making clear decisions is to check yourself every day. It could be 5 times a day at some points. How am I feeling? Slow down. Close your eyes and go in. What do I feel? Go down to that root. Do I feel shaky? Do I feel solid? Do I feel like I'm all over the place? What do I feel? And what do I need to do in my own body to make that feel more secure? And you do that. And that's why it's not anybody else's method, it's yours. And once you do that a few times, it could just be, I need to breathe. I need to breathe myself down into the earth and ask the earth to support me and to hold me. I might have to pray. I might just have to sing a tune. Whatever it may be for you, that's going to be the solution for you to stay grounded. You're not to go into a meeting with your lawyer or a settlement agreement, settlement negotiation, mediation table, nothing, without feeling that firm support underneath you. Imagine that red being solid red. Imagine that anchor there, and whatever it is that you see, if it's a wonderful rope or a tree trunk, whatever, that's securely fastening your seatbelt to the earth so that you do feel grounded. Do you need to walk outside? Do you need to take your shoes off and do some earthing? Do you need to lay down in the grass? Whatever you need to do, whatever your practice is, try different things. But know that every time you're making a decision related to your divorce, am I aligned? Do I feel good? Am I feeling supported? Is this a decision that I'm making with clarity? Yes or no? If it's no, do something about it. Stall the process if you have to, but don't make decisions unless you can say with certainty, each one, and I mean it, each one, is this a decision made with clarity? Am I aligned at this moment when I'm saying yes to this? Because sometimes you can't go back. And it's easier for the other side, a spouse or your spouse's attorney or other professionals, to hear the truth. Don't be afraid. I'm not feeling good right now. I'm feeling like I could make demands or, accept things or do things or say things that I can't take back right at this moment. I need a day or two. I need some time to just get myself into the right mindset, and whatever word you use so that they understand you. You don't have to give away everything you're doing. And use that time for you to get ready. And then when you go to the negotiation table and you're thinking about your future, you can actually see the future. You can actually play things out. If I do this, how is this going to work? If we have this situation with our children, is this really going to work in reality? This sounds good on paper, but is it really going to work? And you'll be able to participate better in the realness of living in agreement versus just seeing the writing in paper. So know that you've got this, and to the next video, I look forward to meeting you in the next one where we'll be discussing the sacral chakra. But until then, my friend, you've got this. Remember, no decision made without clearly, no decision should be made without the answer yes to, am I aligned? Is this a clear decision? And am I comfortable with it? Until we meet again, my friend, namaste.